what I found as I started to dig into records and reached out to the local district attorney who has control of this case, I was floored. There were things in there that I was never told, or I was not told the truth. And that just spurred me on even more. For example, one of the reports that I did get back from the current custodian was, it was an eyewitness description. The story had been for all these years that she was never seen. Well, she was. An eyewitness gave a description of the man that was with Joan when she disappeared from the airport. The description of the man is completely different than the man that they went after and ultimately accused. Now, he was never charged or tried for the crime, but he was accused. And tying it to the other case, they just felt like they were, wiping out this serial killer. Well, it wasn't that case at all. That, I believe, was a wrongful conviction, and I do have people looking at that right now. And as far as Joan's case, it just didn't make sense. She was not buried where she was supposedly dumped. And as I explored even further, I found out that the crime scene didn't exist. There was, it was claimed she was murdered on this boat, but the boat was sunk more than 4 months before she disappeared. And I have certified court records that specify that with evidence. And the former prosecutor who wrote his book with the family's support gives false information all the way through.
Now, you would figure that with this information, with you as the caring sister-in-law, that others involved or others that are connected to Joan, whoever they are, would say, wow, this is revealing. Maybe it isn't what we thought it was. Thank you so much for taking the time to dig in, and you've got this incredible information. Maybe we should reopen everything and re-explore it, open up the case and give it another deeper look. Was that the case or not really?
Not really.
Why do you think that is?
Because what it really does show is malfeasance on the part of authorities who were involved in the initial investigation. One of the things that I learned as I went through all of this was that there are 2 police officers who were involved in the investigation who actually knew the correct cause of death with correct detail more than 7 years before Joan disappeared. So basically you've got authorities who fabricated a story, pushed it for years, tied it to other things, and piled on a suspect, and then we're going to maintain it no matter what. The story got more and more sensational over time. They just kept adding things to the point where it really seemed absurd. And it is. Obviously, the boat doesn't exist. That crime didn't happen. I've provided those court records to the current Essex County District Attorney's Office, and they completely ignore them. And they even stated to me, they know the former prosecutor, Tim Burke. They do not want to focus on him, and it's because it would expose malfeasance and a great deal of embarrassment.
Taking on something like this single-handedly is something daunting. And of course, there's risk involved. Have there been any reservations about continuing the digging, continuing working at this, trying to figure this out, or you're just gung-ho about it?
I was asked by a man by the name of John Dolly, who was the first assistant district attorney in Essex County. He was truly at that time the individual responsible for what happened to this case. And he asked me if I thought that my daughters were at risk from the Websters. And I said yes. If family secrets were to come to light, they were. And basically I considered it a warning. He told me that secrets would only come out if I brought them out, and that, gosh, then he'd have to dig into it and investigate it and look into it. But he doesn't stop to realize that if you've got a family that's not telling the truth about a murder investigation, that puts people around them. It makes them vulnerable. It puts them at risk.
So you think the Websters are a harm to you, or a threat to your children?
If family secrets get out, yeah.
But family secrets will only get out if you continue to probe as deeply as you probe, and now turn me onto this, and I start probing. Then it's going to be mobile, where, well, like this with the Websters, at which point your kids would be at risk if you accept, your proposition.
I don't know that I agree with that. I've worked with an abuse advocate that indicated that my best measure to protect my children is to be vocal. You don't shy away from bringing out issues that could relate to abuse, ever. And I won't. Everything that I brought forward, both in that past meeting and today, there are other things that can corroborate what I have said or documents I brought forward, every single one of them, including the letter my daughter wrote. There are counselors that was taken to, and people that verify that letter was written by my daughter and the implications of that.